When Taylor was 5, we moved to Indiana, and that's when the anxiety attacks started. Taylor stopped sleeping. She basically was having horrific nightmares night after night after night. Michael woke up in the middle of the night, and I heard screaming from the kitchen, and it wasn't Taylor, it was Michael.
My first instinct was that someone was there that shouldn't have been. A robber, or someone breaking in, someone there to harm us. I walked out to the kitchen in the middle of the night, and there was Taylor standing there, not doing anything, just staring at the stove. I didn't know what to make of what Taylor was doing. I thought she might have been sleepwalking. She was just standing there.
About a week went by with Taylor not sleeping and repeatedly being terrified. This was not night terrors. Her nightmares were so horrific, she could not sleep. What got me to the breaking point was one night when she came in my room and she said, "Mom, there's a ghost in my room."
Rebecca told me about some of the things that Taylor had been seeing. I had a hard time believing it. I don't really believe in life after death and supernatural stuff. I figured that Taylor's lack of sleep caused her to have hallucinations and see things that really weren't there.
I thought my daughter had a mental problem at that point, with her seeing ghosts, with her sleepwalking, with her being terrified night after night after night of not sleeping and being miserable. I couldn't help her, and she was exhausted and she was falling asleep at school, and I had to take her to the doctor. She was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder. It means just anxiety, period. It's not due to trauma, not due to abuse. There was no cause to it. She has a level of anxiety that I have never seen in anybody before. As Taylor got older, the nightmares got worse and the anxiety continued. It got worse and worse and worse and worse. She came to me in the middle of the night. She was stark white, she was sweating, and she was absolutely beside herself. And she said, "Mom, something happened." And I said, "What?" She said, "I had a nightmare. I was dreaming, but I was looking at myself." And I said, "What do you mean?" And she said, "I was looking down on myself and I was a man. I was a skinny white man with sharp features and I was writing a letter." She remembered being a man. That's when I knew that it was a past life. It was a totally different experience. I 100% believed in my heart and feel it in my bones that this actually, I know it happened to her.
I don't really believe in past lives or anything really supernatural. If you can't show me something, I don't normally believe it if it's not right there in front of me. It's the same with my police work. If you can't see it and you can't prove it, I don't really know if I can think it's real.
The more we talked that night, the more memories started coming back to Taylor. She clearly remembers that she was a man. She was wearing an oversized white shirt from centuries ago. She was writing with a feather pen. Taylor remembers the writing being long and thin. The paper that she wrote on was more cloth-like than paper that you would write on today. The only light that she had was a candle, but the main thing that stuck out was she was writing a letter as a man, and what was upsetting Taylor and haunting Taylor was the fact that she was prevented from finishing and sending the letter. I decided that it was time for me to ask her all the questions and dig deep, because I knew that this was all connected. During our talk, Taylor started to remember more and more stuff. And then she came up with the name Matthew Koppel. And she said, "Mom, that's who I was. I was Matthew Koppel." Taylor got hysterically upset. And I said, "What is it?" And she said, "Mom, that letter was important." And she was sobbing. She said, "I was writing the letter to his wife." She said, "I got out of my chair and I stood behind my chair and I turned and there was a loud noise and I was killed." When Taylor told me that she was killed in her past life, I didn't feel scared or sad. I felt relieved that now I could connect her fear of loud noises to her past life. That's the answer to all the questions that I had wondered about for all these years. It had gone on for so long, her living in horror, living in fear, and all the pieces were starting to fall into place.
My name is Taylor, and I am 16 years old. My inability to sleep started when I was around 2 or 3 years old, and I've always had really, really vivid nightmares. Ones that just seemed too real, and I'd wake up in the middle of the night in like a cold sweat. The first time that I remember having a past life memory, I could feel everything that he was feeling. And I remember standing up. I was really, really frustrated, and then there was a loud boom, and I woke up. It just sort of clicked for me. Yes, that was it, that I was this man, and I kind of wanted to know more.
I found a couple Matthew Koppels, but I don't want you to feel the pressure to make an 100% decision. Just if anything rings familiar to you, let me know. It's to help you. So whatever you feel, you feel.
Okay.
Okay? This is the first Matthew Koppel. He was born in 1708, and this is what happened to him.
Wow.
What are you feeling? You said, wow.
Can we read through the other ones?
Sure.
First?
Absolutely. This is the second one. This is a Henry M. Koppel, and he was in the war, the Civil War. Here's his actual record. And now remember you had talked about the writing in those times. Does that seem familiar to you at all?
It definitely seems very familiar to me. That handwriting is the same style as my dream.
You feel that this was who you were seeing in your past life? Whatever gives you peace. I love you. I love you too. I believe that those memories that were triggered from all of the stuff that's happened today will help her to close it and be done with it and help her write the letter. And I think that the letter is the key.
I feel so much closer to who I was in my past life now. I know that I need to write that letter. It's going to be sort of a farewell note so that I'll be able to move on with my own life.
She knows that it was to his wife, and she thinks that it was some kind of goodbye letter. It was almost a desperate act of this man trying to get a final letter to his loved ones.
I do hope that writing down and finishing and releasing everything is going to bring me some closure, and I'll finally be at peace.
We have enough facts to know that this occurrence did happen. Does this look like a good spot?
Yeah, sure.
Alrighty. She was somebody else, and I think if Taylor were to do what she needs to do with the letter, let everything go, this is it, she will be at peace. Okay, hold it up high. I feel that Taylor knows his letter was important to him and that he was in pain, and she's gonna let it go for him so that he can rest. This is it. You ready?
I definitely hope Taylor can be at peace, and no need for anyone to suffer from anxiety if they didn't have to.
My hope is that all the fears will be let go at the same time. 1, 2, 3. Everything that we've been through just went with that balloon.